After the Odyssey hackathon, we are still in Groningen, as you can see. And I'm talking to Gautam about the World Health Food Program, which you're involved in. And it's a way that refugees can pay with their iris scan. Can you tell us how that process works? Because you work at Parity, and Parity is, of course, from Gavin Wood, a very company from Berlin, which has been very involved in the development of Ethereum and now basically has a language. Okay, so how does that project work?
Yeah, so the World Food Program project is more about distributing cash aids to refugees, and it works in a way that the cash distributed is through a blockchain network, and the identification works using the iris scan. So a refugee walks into a supermarket, scans their iris using the scanning machine, and then they are basically authenticated using that on the backend system and the blockchain. And based on that, they can do transactions. They they can sign transactions using this particular authentication mechanism. So
the iris scan is changed into a private key, and with the private key they can do all kinds of transactions, which is on the blockchain.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, and that is when they get into the camp, they are identified, and they basically their iris scan is registered, and they get a certain amount of budget they can spend during the month or something like that. And which organization is providing the money?
So the United Nations is directly attached to the United Nations agency called World Food Program. That is the sponsor of the project, and I cannot comment, or I don't know more about how they are registered in the camps. But
it's a separate team.
Yeah, it's a separate team. But what we are more involved from the Parity side is the blockchain network on which the distribution happens. So every refugee has an account, and there is a balance associated with this particular account, and then basically with this particular authentication functionality on the iris, this is distributed across to them, and then they can transfer this money from their wallet to the supermarket to get food products to them.
Yeah. So you don't need a smartphone, you don't need any machine, you just need your iris, and that is your private key to basically do it. And what is the advantages of that program for the United Nations?
So there are primarily two advantages. One is definitely the transparency of the whole process. So the money approved for these aids is directly reaching the people without any middlemen coming.
Nobody can take it from them. It cannot be stolen from them. Cannot be harassed. They have to have their iris scanned, so you cannot steal it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the second thing is a lot of savings in the bank costs. So on a monthly scale, the last values that we have published on the recent blog post, they're like they are serving 100,000 refugees a month, and they are saving around $40,000 a month in only bank costs. Yeah. So that is the second advantage of the.
And that is just one camp, right? I mean, that's not all the camps. They have multiple camps.
I think it is one camp at this moment, but I cannot confirm or say.
So it's more in the pilot phase. So they're looking if this really works and what the cost is. Okay, so we're at the Blockchain Innovation Conference on June the 7th. We'll spend more time on this project and get more under the hood and see what's really in there, because it's really interesting if you can identify yourself with your iris. And that is the access to the private key, and then have a blockchain system which is really efficient behind it. So thanks very much, Gautam.
Thanks, Vincent.